Karen, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking your time and look really forward to, again, future collaborations with you in the Innovare Advancement Center. Over to you.
It sounds great. Thank you so much for the introduction, Denise, and thank you so much for all of the work that you've done to put on a phenomenal event so far. So what I'm here today is throughout the course of the past 3 days, for those that you have been watching, you've been seeing the Innovare Advancement Center logo popping up on the screen in all different varieties. So what I'd like to do is take the next 15 minutes is talk to you a little bit about what Innovare is, what our hopes and dreams for the future look like, and what we're doing today as the Air Force Research Laboratory and to move this forward. Very simply, Innovare at its heart is about building community. We have a very strong recognition that the core competencies of the Information Directorate in cyber and AIML, in counter UAS, and the list goes on and on and on. This is going to be a community effort in order to move forward quicker in these areas. And that's all about what Innovare is about connecting the community to the work that we're doing in the research laboratory and being able to move forward hand in hand. So with that, I'm going to talk to you about the goals, overviews, and some of the partnerships that we're seeing today as a result of Innovare. If you move to the next slide, goal 1, 2, and 3, we have a 5-year strategy that really focuses on having 100 new diverse partners, technical partners, 100 new entrepreneurial ventures, and elevating our community's intellectual leadership by 10%. We came to this with conversations with our strategic partners, with Griffith Institute, with Nice Tech that's hosting this event today, with the City of Rome, Oneida County, SUNY, the State University of New York, as well as New York State, and saying, how can we bring the massive technical portfolio that we generate every year as a directorate out into this community and utilize it as a conversation piece, as an anchor in order to grow. And so that's where those 3 goals are really out of. And so the 5-year strategy focuses not only on impacts in those 3 goals, but economic impacts as well, to making sure that we are moving forward with those intended goals together as a team uniformly. So on the next slide, what we're looking at is this vision and mission. We as the Air Force Research Laboratory today have an impact of over $1.5 billion every year. And so, but we know that with those core competencies, we really want to take that and elevate that to the next level and take off on that runway using those Air Force references to move forward and really create this magnetic ecosystem here that brings the right people together at the right time in the right place in order to execute that. And you are part of this here today, every single one of you that's watching this. And so you can see, as we created the Trusted AI series, it's these 3 workshops all coming together in a pitch day. So that way we're creating the vision initially, then starting to really come together with those challenges, bringing the community together in order to well place everyone for the final pitch day that's occurring throughout all part of this. It's not just about a pitch day. It's not just about some people talking, but it really is about that community creation. And so you're going to see that throughout a lot of our different events that we're running is really focusing on the community engagement. With our Aspire series, which is another example that I'll talk about a little bit later, it's also a series of 3 events throughout the year to making sure that we're bringing the right people together for the conversation and allowing time for that communication back and forth to go together. So on the next slide, with goal 1, we talked about building Rome's runway to the world and engaging this global community of 100 diverse partners. We measure the progress through those metrics that you see on the right. That actually has a lot more deep dive through it. But some examples on the next slide of how we're really executing on this goal 1. We're in year 1. We're coming to a close of year 1 on 30 September of that 5-year strategy. So current RI statistics, we have well over 76 CRADAs, 150 EPAs, and 185 licenses. But with the quantity of white papers, engagement, on things like the $1 Million Quantum U Tech Accelerator, where we had well over 1,000 registrants. That's where we have room to improve, and where we really want that key community engagement to elevate those metrics and have the bigger impact we're looking for. We might spend over $1.5 billion every year, but the community as a whole in the areas that we're experts in spends billions and billions and billions of dollars every year as well. And so it's about leveraging each other and those that we're putting through in order to go better and faster, quicker together as a team. So goal 2 on the next slide. So talking a little bit more about Aspire, because this is something that I want you all to look forward to. So if you go to innovare.org, this tells you more about Innovare. And so follow what's going on that webpage on social media, because it's going to tell you about future events that either you or some of your team members can engage in as part of this community building. We actually created a series of challenges through the Aspire series to really double down on what are the next future challenges of the Information Directorate. We wanted to very specifically and very consciously talk about the direct things that we're going to lead to our new R&D efforts coming in the next few years, and ask for that community input as part of that. And that's what Aspire is all about. It's on a yearly basis, generating a set of challenges that are relevant to industry. We have a recognition that sometimes when we would talk about our challenges, we have a very DoD-centric view of the things that we're looking for. But how can we make sure that we're talking about those challenges from a way that the community can engage with them on them and see how their technology can make a difference in those different challenges? So changing how we communicate about those challenges, and then utilizing those challenges not only to do a call for participation, but also look at capstone opportunities with universities, but also look at other potential CRADA opportunities. Also take these on the road. We're going to be presenting them down at Fed Supernova and Capital Factory at the end of September, looking for new opportunity space and continuing to generate on them. And so we actually just issued a call, and we invited 14 companies to do follow-on conversations with us, with our T2 team, with our SNEs on the spot, looking for those CRADA opportunities to move forward on those. And with that, we're able to do all of the other things surrounding that too, by making those changes and talking very specifically about our future challenges. So goal 2 on the next slide, that entrepreneurial venture, this is where our partners, our community partners, really lead in these areas and have those deep expertise. The Griffith Institute, NICE Tech, those team members, as well as the other partnership intermediaries throughout the country. But we need to work better to find those good opportunities in order to generate either startups, elevate current startups into small businesses, into medium-sized businesses, and be able to move from there. And so that's why when we talk about measuring those, we're not just talking about quantity and numbers. We're really talking about even things like viability and strength of those companies, and making sure we've left them in a place that they can continue on and they aren't left in a gap of where do we go next. And so on the next slide, some other great examples of these partner convergences. Hackasat at DEF CON, we had over 6,000 participants working on hacking small satellites. And we're continuing that again this year. We have the Propel Accelerator down in New Lab in Brooklyn. This is a partnership with the National Security Innovation Network that utilized our challenges from the Aspire series in order to elevate this accelerator. And that's just a phenomenal partnership. Using the experts that know how to run an accelerator, we provide the technical expert and moving forward. And really just making sure that we're always at this place where innovation happens at the intersection of something new and useful. And so goal 3, it's worded in a specific way because we didn't want to make the workforce development aspect of this really future leaning. Not only do we need to make sure we're executing today, but we're preparing the community for tomorrow and these challenges that we see coming down the line. But we didn't want to make it about just, K through 12 or high school or college. We wanted to make sure that we were inspiring the community from, everyone from my 18-month-old daughter all the way up to our retirees. There's a phenomenal retirement community out there that loves the technical work that we engage in, that you all engage in, that wants to be part of that still. So how do you educate them on those future needs and allow them to run and come up with new ideas and engage back in turn? And so by really measuring that community's intellectual leadership, by looking at the whole spectrum, that's where we can see that we have that bigger impact with goal 3, other than just a specific segment of the population. I just put in my paperwork to ask for new training yesterday in order to make sure I'm continuing my education as well, as we all should be from time to time. On the next slide, some other specific examples of this is we're looking for co-lecturer appointments to insert our personnel into classrooms. We already execute all of the STEM initiatives for the entire Air Force and work with them on that. We personally have well over 100 interns and 60 visiting professors every year, but we're also helping with additional coursework at universities, initiating boot camps, making sure that we're partnering with universities. And this is a very specific part of our mission statement as a government entity, is to make sure to push out that conversation and inspire the future as part of it. We appreciate all of our partners coming forward with us on that journey. I think quantum is a really great example of this, in that, one of our quantum physicists told me, she's like, all right, we're tackling the physics part today, but we don't have the quantum engineers for tomorrow, that once we make that breakthrough on that physics piece of who's actually going to build and make this sustainable, maintainable, all those things that fall into my wheelhouse as being the chief engineer of the Directorate of that I'm concerned about too. So that really hit home with me on how are we going to execute those different things and move forward there. And so that's my challenge out to you. And on this last slide, when I put away what is the takeaway of what Innovare is, on the slide, there we go. Whenever I put together the takeaway, I started listing off things. I'm like, no, we can't forget this piece. We can't forget this piece. But it really is a little bit of everything, making sure that we have that shared vision and total community ownership. It isn't just a brand that's just Air Force or just New York or just this or just this. It really is us consciously moving together hand in hand, recognizing that not only us as a community coming together, but globally we're stepping out hand in hand with our allies in order to make a bigger global impact is so critical. And so it's a little bit of everything, but we drive it through those goals, through those very specific metrics, and reporting back to you and showing how we're going to be executing for that elevation and impact that we're really looking for. Again, if you want to hear more about what's going to be coming down the pipeline in the next year, I recommend that you follow innovare.org. Look at those Aspire challenges if you're looking for a little bit more insight on what we as a directorate are looking at for the future, and make sure you come back for our next community building and mechanism. We're very excited to have you here today and are excited for you to continue along with our journey on this. And thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to our MCs here.